Hey folks, JD here, and on this quite blustery morning I bring you the DJI Mavic Mini. Okay, so let's have a quick chat about this before we get into the calibration and then the flight. Now, when I open the box for this, you're going to see the unboxing this particular time at the end of the video. I do this every now and again just to change things up, but I did it this time as well because we have a storm which is moving in and I want to get out and I want to fly this before that storm comes in. So which is the reason for me having these videos reversed, because as of this time of recording this, I haven't filmed the unboxing yet. Now, it is worth saying that if you've never touched this, if you've never felt this, then I'm going to say exactly how I felt when I opened the box and when I grabbed this. It feels totally different to any other DJI quadcopter that you may have already held, that you may have already owned. I own quite a few DJI quads, and this one felt more like the Eachine E58 than it does any other DJI quadcopter. And the reason for that is because it is 249 grams, which is under, in many places, the legal limit to fly or legal limit to register your quadcopters. If you're under 250 grams, you don't need to register, therefore you can fly without paying your dues to the CAA or whatever governing body. Now, there's a little problem with that. In July, there's reported to be a new law coming in, which means that we are going to have to register our camera drones, and as this is a camera drone, it doesn't get away from that. So even though you're not registering it right now, you may have to register it in the future, just to be warned. Now, the presentation on the box, as you will see at the end of the video, is really nice. The quadcopter sat upright like this, very inviting, very, very nice. You see the DJI moniker there, really sitting pride of place. As I grabbed it, I thought, wow, this really feels different. At the same time, it doesn't really matter what it feels like. Just want to give you a little heads up about that because it did take me by surprise a little bit. Obviously, in order to achieve that 249 grams, they have had to shed a lot of weight, and this plastic does feel a lot thinner than other DJI quads. But of course, they haven't been so concerned about the weight limit, whereas they are with this one. Now, a couple of other things about it as well. Very nice to see that we have a camera guard on the front of it. A lot of quads don't give those away these days, and I have to 3D print my own, but it's lovely to find that you do actually get one still with DJI. Once you rip that off, you will see a camera that looks awfully a lot like the Osmo Pocket. A little bit more on that a bit later perhaps, but for the second, as long as it does its job, I don't really mind. I was never a fan of the Osmo Pocket ever since using one in the summer, but still, as long as the camera works, then that is fine by me. Everything else about the quad feels nice. Now, as you can probably hear in the microphone, we have got a little bit of a blustery day. We've got winds coming in. I've done my little 3-point check with my anemometer, my little windometer, and we have got winds coming in at 14 miles an hour. Now, the rated speed for this on the DJI website is 8 meters per second, which is roughly 17.8 to 17.9 miles per hour. Now, I'm cutting it close. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm cutting it close. I'm going to see how it goes. I've got a full battery. I want to get the full 30. Well, I'm not going to get 30 minutes out of this because the copter is going to be pushing against these environmental factors. But at the same time, I want to see if I can get as long as I possibly can with this quad up in the air in a safe environment. If at any point it's not, I'll have to call it a day and bring it down and then come back out a little bit later on. So that might have to be done. If that's the case, obviously I'll let you know, and we'll come back out then. But to begin with, let's give it a try. Let's see exactly how it goes. On face value, I think this looks lovely. I really do. I think it follows the Mavic styling. I'm hoping, without going too much into it at this point, I am hoping that they keep the Mavic Mini range going, unlike the Spark range. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about that because I've got a bit of I love my Spark, and I've got a little bit of hatred for the fact they didn't carry it on, but I'm hoping that they are going to carry this on. Now, as you'll notice, and as you probably saw when I unfolded these propeller arms, the arms do twist. They do move quite a lot, so be careful. I don't think they are of a fragile nature, but obviously, as you can see the twisting there, the plastic will twist, it will contort, which is exactly what you want from a quadcopter in air. You don't want it to be rigid, and especially with these folding quads, you are going to see a bit of movement there anyway. When you do fold these arms back, they do snap back really nicely, so there's no chance that they may come unlocked, and there is no button to depress before you move the arms back and forth. The SD card today is a SanDisk Evo 64 gig class 10 U3. So that has got more than enough space in it, and likewise the battery has been fully charged. Now, because this is the standard pack, this is not the combo flight pack, I have had to charge it via USB. My god, it takes so long, bordering on 4.5 hours to charge. But obviously, as time goes on, when I get more batteries, when I get better charging units, then obviously we revisit that. And of course, if you buy the combo flight pack, then you will have no issue there whatsoever. So I picked this up from Drones Direct here in the UK for £379, and I had to wait a long time for it. I knew that at the time, because fortunately Drones Direct, I've not just shopped there once, I've bought a lot of my DJI kit from there, and a lot of other kit from there as well, because they always give you a good frame of reference as to when your parcel will arrive. It was no different with this. I bought it at the end of November, beginning of December time, and it cost me $379, and it said it wouldn't be delivered until the 7th of January. If I'd waited for the combo flight pack, at the time of buying it, they had a date of the 22nd of January, so obviously there's quite a few weeks in between there, and I, being quite an impatient lad, I didn't want to wait, so I just went for it, because batteries, they're always something I can buy separately. I did the same with my Spark, did the same with my Phantom, did the same with my Mavic Air, so that's no problem whatsoever. So there we go, enough of me yammering on for the second. Let's put her down. She does look lovely, does look really nice. Right then, now there is one thing that has I hate to use the word annoyed, because that's not necessarily true, but it has bugged me. There we are, I'll use that word instead. And that is that we are using another app. Now obviously DJI want this quadcopter to appeal to new people, to beginners, to people who haven't flown before, as well as to people who have flown. So it kind of fits all the gaps. Now, the problem with that is that for us people who have had DJIs for a few years, and we've flown for a few years, we've now got thousands of apps. As far as DJI is concerned, we have 3. The ones I use: DJI Go, DJI Go 4, that's fiddly, DJI Go, DJI Go 4, and now the DJI Fly app. The DJI Fly app is literally just for the Mavic Mini for the second, and to be fair, I don't really begrudge that, because the app itself is nice, is clean, it is beginner friendly, so that in itself is absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned. So click once and hold to turn on, and then quickly put her upside down. You'll notice the motors will spin round a little bit, just so we can make sure that all the motors are fine, everything's turned on, everything's balanced. Click and hold again on the transmitter and it turns on. The transmitter, by the way, it does look a lot like a standard DJI transmitter, although a couple of cosmetic differences. There's no silver going around the rubberized bits there. There's a few other little changes, but still nothing really to cry home about. Again, it still feels really nice. The thing I like about this app, mixed with DJI's firmware these days, is that it tells you whether you can fly in the place that you're flying, and I really like that, because usually I use the Nats app, I use a few other apps as well to deduce whether I can fly in a given area. It can get a bit of a nightmare, because you've got all these apps, you're juggling everything, you're going, can I fly? Yes, I can fly in that direction, but not in that direction. I can do this and not that. But whereas with this app, it just says takeoff permitted, and I love that. I think that is a really, really, really nice move. Now I'm going to record my screen. As with everything, I like telemetry, I like information, so let's get that recorded. Beautiful. Now, I have changed a few things about the app, not many, but a few of you will notice. I've changed the auto return to home altitude. I changed this to 131.2 feet. At the time it was sitting, which is roughly about 40 meters, I think. I've also changed it, as you will notice, from metric to imperial. I prefer feet and inches there. And also, as you will notice, I haven't updated the firmware. This particular firmware is sitting on what it came with, which is 0.1.00.0200. So for the time being, I'm running on that. If you're new to the channel, the reason I do that is because a lot of people are going to open the box and they're going to fly it straight away. Now I like to do that as well, just so that we can see exactly what the quad gives us with the firmware it comes with, and then over time then we'll update it, we'll do a few other things, etc, 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 as time goes on. Now, as far as the transmitter goes, transmitter is on, everything's okay. Make sure you use your DJI cable. It is a micro USB port, so any micro USB will will fit in there, but the DJI one fits nice and snug into the rectangular port they have there. And then obviously you have your phone attached. Now my phone is not auto charging, the same as it would with another transmitter, with the other DJI transmitters, so just be warned, you do need to have a full battery on your phone before you go any further. One other thing, I know, I'm sorry, there's just a lot to cover with this quad. One other thing, on the back of the box, it did state that it works with iPhone 10 right the way back, but it doesn't say anything about iPhone 11, iPhone Pro Max or anything like that. So it could be because they went to print before the iPhone 11 came out, or it could be that maybe these two pads either side don't open wide enough for the 11 Max. If you have got an 11, let me know, see if it fits. If it does fit, great. If it doesn't, you know, then we'll have, hopefully you can buy some extenders in order to make them fit. I know DJI have some nice clamp-on kits for tablets, etc. Also, one other thing, as is DJI, they have partnered with Apple years and years and years and years and years ago. Even when I was working for Apple 11 years ago, they partnered with them around about that time, a little bit before perhaps. So as it says in the back of this box, this is made for iPhone. It may work on Android, chances are it is going to work on Android, but at the same time I haven't tried it, I haven't tested it, and just go and buy what DJI have said. So we are almost ready to go. The next thing we got to do is just calibrate. So down to safety, compass calibration, and then click start. Right, it says 1.5 meters, so I'm going to hold it as high up as I can, twist it one way, and then when it's ready, hold it up and then twist it with the camera facing upwards. And then once you've done that, it says successful. At least you know then that you're calibrated for where you are flying, and you should be all ready to go. Now there's nobody here, I am on my own. The only thing that puts me off, as I say, is this wind. If it gets too bad, I'll have to downrange and come back again to finish off the video, but for the second we are going to try. It is under the rated limit, so at the same time I don't think that's going to be too bad, so let's take off.
Take off. The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Already hearing the wind is having a little bit to do with her. I would be very, very, very careful when it comes to wind with this quad. I'm doing it to see what can happen to this quad. If you're in doubt, always just check your surroundings before you fly. If you're in doubt, don't fly. Right, so you can see it's bobbing about quite a bit. Those brushless motors are holding it well. Those brushless motors sound quite nice as well. They've got like a low hum to them. They're not as high-pitched squealy as I thought they may have been. Right, let's check out this camera first. So I've altered the gimbal down to 21% at 21 degrees. That then gives me a nice angle of view, as well as bashes enough light into that sensor to get some nice photos. So photo button either can be taken on the display, or it can be taken on your transmitter. If you click the button, obviously the photo will take. It's as easy as that. As you walk further away, it's got quite a nice angle of view. Quite far, quite wide. You'll hear a little shutter noise when you take it. It's a standard sound you get from your iPhone. Or from whatever phone you were using. Okay, now then, to switch from photo into camera, you've got a little rectangle. If you push that, you have 3 modes: photo, video and quick shot. Wow, fair play, Mr. Mavic. Good God, that was a really strong breeze, and it held. My heart was in my mouth there a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Woohoo! As I say, you've got 3 modes: photo, video and quick shot. If you click on video, you then get 2 resolutions, 2.7 and 1080. Out of 1080 you get 5, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, you get 4 frames per second. Out of 2.7 you get 2. So I'm going to stick it on 30 frames a second on 2.7. Let's click record, let's get some video. So let's see whether the weather holds up. So let's take her out. Certainly, I'm going to fly her local to me for a second. 1, I want to see how it flies. 2, I want to see the wind effect on it. It is in mode P for the second. for position. There are 3 modes: position, mode S for sport, and mode C for cinematic. And when the wind dies down, beautiful, no problem whatsoever there. That is that flies nice. It doesn't feel like a DJI, but by God, it flies like a DJI. That is lovely. Oh, here comes the wind. I'm taking it out a little bit further. It is flying through. I'm gonna have to switch this to sport mode so I can fully unlock the power of those motors, because I think most of me is saying you're gonna be all right, mate. You're gonna be okay because you're under the rated wind speed. But there is another part of me which is thinking, mate, it's 249 grams. You know, it is very, very light. And usually, very light things and wind don't go hand in hand. But still, it's holding its own. My God, it's holding its own. And it's holding its own well. And this video as well looks to be super stable, as you would expect from a 3-axis gimbal. But it is looking to be super stable. Look at that. Even for such a small quad, it's got that Mavic shape, which gives it a tremendous, absolutely tremendous air presence. Look at that. Yeah, that's a bit of fun. Now, height and details. Height wise, up to 20 foot. Obviously, the higher you climb, the more the wind is going to affect it. So this is why I'm keeping it low for the second, because I'm judging how she works, how she goes with these random spurts of blusteriness. Yes, it flies really nicely. It really does. Okay, let's bring her down a little bit. Air brake. Yeah, very nice. Very, very sweet. So 1 LED at the back, flashing green. We did see that status change. We saw it yellow, red, and then green. So that's not that much of an issue. Battery LED indicators are easy to see from under it as well, because the way that DJI have marketed this is that it is like a fun lens. It's a fun camera. So obviously they want it to be used in parties where legally allowed, and things like that. So I suppose that's where they've marketed that for. So right then, so we're in mode P. Let's try mode S. Sport mode. How fast do you reckon we're going to get out of this? I reckon, let's have a think. Now, my Spark is pretty quick. My Mavic Air isn't the quickest. My Phantom is ridiculous, but that's quite old and it doesn't really have a lot of these different settings. So I'm going to reckon, I'm going to say about 16 mile an hour. That's what I'm going to go for, 16 mile an hour. So I'm going to increase her height, because obviously with the increase in speed, she is going to dip. And off we go. 22, 23, 25. 25, 26. Wow, okay. I was hopelessly wrong. Not the first time, and it definitely isn't going to be the last. But at the same time, wow, that thing, 25.5 mile an hour. Let's see if we can get it any quicker, I wonder. So off we go. See, she's going into the wind there, into the breeze. 15, 17, no, she's into the breeze there. That's not that much. That isn't going to go very well. But still, 20, 25, 26, 27. Now obviously we have got the wind pushing us there as well, which is going to help it to gain momentum and keep the speed up. But even going into the wind, we had 15.5, 16 mile an hour. It's not too shabby. Wow, those motors sound lovely. They really sound nice. They've obviously picked a nice bunch of brushless, a nice brushless set there for this. And in sport mode, no hang about whatsoever. No hang about whatsoever. It is just quite literally just going for it. And I don't feel as if the quad is in jeopardy. I don't feel as if it can't handle it. It's showing me every sign that it can handle it. And this is great. Now for cinematic mode, let's bring her down a little bit. Let's bring her down. Snake her around a little bit. Wow, handles incredibly well. Incredibly well. Right. Floating quite nicely. Height wise, really? -3 foot? I don't think so, mate. I think you are 13, 14, that's better. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, that was a bit of a weird app thing there. Maybe because I'd come down at a weird angle and I was twisting and snaking her around. She then turned down, she was -6 foot in the air, which is quite interesting because she was definitely in the air. And she's holding remarkably well. But obviously that battery has taken a hell of a hit. 21 minutes left, down to 69%. And obviously, as we know that the faster you go, the more you fly at 100%, especially if you open up those motors fully, especially on a day which, if you have a lot of environmental factors such as this, you are going to flatten that battery. Plus the cold will affect the battery. There are so many different factors at play. There we are, no wind now, and she's leveled out a little bit. Oh, beautiful. Now I am going to bring her down. I am going to try cinematic mode, and I am going to see whether or not it works well. But I don't think up at height cinematic mode has got this real habit. Well, it's the whole reason for cinematic mode is that it flies and it outputs at such a low speed. You're probably talking 4, 5, maybe 6 miles an hour, 6 meters per second rather. Oh no, miles per hour this is now, isn't it? Because I changed it, idiot. So I don't want to be flying that in this breeze up high. You're going to ask for trouble. So I've brought her down, I flicked her into cine mode, and we're going to try that now. Now if we get any issues, obviously we're going to have to cancel it and try again. But quite literally, flat out, that is it. You know, she's not built in cine mode, in cine smooth, to fly quick. Now I'm keeping my eye because, as you can see, this ground, this is not level in any way, shape or form. There are huge mounds, so as a consequence you are going to see that the quad at some points will be at 15 foot, and at others it'll be at 12, where the ground is catching up with it. But what I am doing is I am flying at 100% in mode C, and I'm going to keep on flying her around, keep on moving her, keep on bringing her back. Off she goes. And she's doing remarkably well. Honestly, I never would have thought that it would have been doing as well. Oh, into the breeze. Oh, it didn't really like that. It has increased its altitude from 15 foot when I started up to 19, but obviously there are bits which are dipping as well, so it could just be that it's going over a dip, and that in itself is giving that effect that it's actually increased in altitude. Whereas this bit here is a low space, so now it's 20 foot high, whereas over there it's only 13. If I stop her there, that looked lovely. Its movement were very smooth. Its movement around the corners with a little bit of yaw and a bit of roll just enabled it to just smoothly move very nicely around, almost as if it was on rails. The video that it was producing looked excellent. It really did look extremely good, and as it was bringing itself around, you could see that gimbal was just holding itself and holding itself correctly, and the footage it was giving looks really nice. I have to see what the output looks like, but from what I can see on my phone, it looks very good. Oh, that was me. I increased her a little bit there. I'm not going to increase her high in cine mode because I don't trust this wind, but it is lovely. I'm really shocked. Now obviously I know there are places that DJI can go with this. I'm sure that's why they've only given us a 2.7K camera. They haven't given us a 4K camera. It's quite simply because it smacks to me that, right, let's start back at the beginning. It smacks to me that if this is the Osmo Pocket, the Osmo Pocket is capable of 4K. So it's probably what they've done. If this is the Osmo Pocket, they've probably firmware locked it in the same way as Canon firmware lock their cameras. So a Canon camera will always be better than the firmware allows, always. There is hybrid firmware out there, there is third-party firmware out there, which I don't recommend you install. I have on one of mine and it works great, but I don't recommend you install it because obviously it is your own kit. And at the same time, that then unlocks the true potential and the true megapixel resolution of the camera. Oh, I'm gonna have to change this back into mode P, because that was a little bit dicey there. It was bobbing about a bit and I thought, ooh, it's almost as if the wind is getting really close to taking that. Now see, yeah, even at, I mean, I'm flying at low altitude, it's still flying really well. Yeah, so as I was saying, so if they have firmware locked it to 2.7, then either they're going to release a firmware update to unlock it, or they're going to bring out a Mavic Mini 2, which is where I hope they go with it. I really genuinely hope they do, because I love my Spark. My Spark is tremendous. I can't rave enough about my Spark. Spark. I bloody love my Spark. But at the same time, they didn't move it anywhere. They just kept it. And in some regards, I can sort of understand it, because if it's not broke, why fix it? And at the same time, it wasn't broken, it was brilliant. So then why move it anywhere? But why not come up with a second revision? You know, why not come up with a second revision? Because that first revision was so good, was so amazingly excellent, and I really wanted them to bring out a second Spark. Unfortunately, they haven't, and I don't think they ever will now. And hopefully they're going to bring out a Mavic Mini 2, because if you think of Mavic, their line of quads, they are oh sorry, my thumb's getting really cold. If you think of the Mavic line of quads, they are their professional, their consumer grade professional quads. So why not move that name on? So they've got the Mavic, Mavic Pro Zoom, Mavic 2, Mavic 2 Zoom, you know, as well as to name, you know, not name others, Mavic Air, and now the Mavic Mini. So you can see where the company's going. They're keeping the Mavic line, and they're keeping that strong. And I think that's a very good move. Obviously, they're also worried about all these countries locking down on quadcopter laws. Obviously, very worried at all, which you would imagine, because it's their bread and butter. It's the same as if somebody came to your work and sat next to you and said, I do exactly the same job as you, but you're not getting fired. You'd still be a little bit, there'd still be trepidation, wouldn't there? You'd still think to yourself, wow, why are you doing the same job as me when I've got enough work just for me? You know, it's the same scenario. Well, sort of. And DJI are concerned, because if quads go bye-bye, then obviously their main bread and butter goes bye-bye. So I can understand why they're doing what they're doing. I just hope that they bring out a Mavic Mini 2, because I really want a Mavic Mini 2. Now what I'm going to do is I've altered this camera angle. One thing I would like them to alter, and I know I've come under fire for saying this before, but it's just my preference. I don't like an easy free moving gimbal wheel. I like it to be a little bit stiff. Unfortunately, this gimbal wheel is very free moving, and it moves so easily, which isn't a downside, but it is for me, because I like to have a little bit of resistance to push against, and there isn't any. It is so easy to move. But I do like that they've got on the heads-up display, they have got the degree that you're moving it to, which is brilliant. Wow, in sport mode this thing really drops quick. So what I'm doing is I really wanted to fly her a little bit further out. Maybe I'll have more luck with the weather tomorrow perhaps, because as you can see, this weather is coming in, and I don't want to be flying her anywhere that I could lose her. Not on first flight, God, that'd be awful, wouldn't it? So yeah, so in short, I hope from the conversation previous, I hope that they come out with a Mavic Mini 2. I hope they do a lot more with this one as well, because with the great thing about DJI and their firmware is they can firmware lock anything, and they can unlock it as time goes on, and that's not going to be a problem. They can do that. I'm pretty sure they did that with the Spark. In fact, I'm pretty sure at the time when I first had the Spark, it could do nowhere near the things that it could do when now, whenever I take it out. Now it's got myriads of different features, myriads of different things. You know, it is a really nice quad. This is, in this weather, has blown me away. I had a conversation with Matt on Facebook. Been a part of the channel for a long time, and he was saying he's picked one up and he was really chuffed, and I was saying to him, yeah, it's amazing. And he was saying, what do you think about flying at the wind? And I said, just don't. And I still maintain, just don't. But at the same time, it is doing remarkably well. But then again, as I say, we are just under the miles per hour rating of the quad. The quad itself, I mean, I wouldn't have believed that it would be able to do almost 18 miles an hour unless I read it on the DJI website, and that's exactly where it is. It's in the forums for the Mavic Mini. and it's just sorry, not the forums, the FAQs. It's phenomenal. It is good, but I want to see where they go with it. Straight out of the box, it works remarkably well, and this camera as well. I mean, we've got a very dark, dank day here today, but at the same time the camera looks like it's outputting really well. Okay, we're not going to have a lot of brightness, we're not going to have a lot of variation in colour, but we are going to have, it looks like, some really nice stable footage. And I am wanging this thing around in sport mode, and okay, we've only got 6 minutes left of the battery. It is going to fall shy of the half an hour, but when you consider it's got wind speeds holding it back, it's cutting through that. I'm not being that gentle with it at all. I'm really giving it a bit of gumph, and it's just going, it's just moving. Now, before the battery dies, let's try a bit of quick shot, shall we? So what I'm going to do is stop it recording. That was 16.25 minutes of video. I'm going to then change the mode into quick shot. Camera centers on the target as the aircraft ascends backwards and incline. So that's absolutely fine. With quick shot you get a load of different features such as drone, rocket, circle, helix. Drone is by far one of my favourite. So it's going to say 80 foot. I'm going to start it off at 80, but to be fair, I'm probably going to stop it before it gets to 80 because of this wind. So I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to angle these antenna so it's at the quad, and then I'm going to click quick shot. I'm going to wait for this this last bit of wind to die down. Wow, look at it holding itself. I am going to revisit these quick shot videos in its own video, so you can see them properly on a day when it's not, you know, blowing a gale like this and I'm not tripping over roots. Right, okay, quick start, I guess. Oh, tap on the plus. Hang on, what did it say? Tap plus or draw a box around the subject. Right, okay. Okay, so it is quite easy, and that is tracking me really well. Wow, that is tracking me really well. Oh, okay, maybe not so much that way, but I am walking a bit quick. Okay, fine.
3.
Start.
2. 1.
2. Oh, low battery. Is it still going to? Yes, it is. Yes, it's doing it. It's doing it. It's doing it.
Battery level is low. The
okay,
aircraft
I'm
will
gonna
go
stop.
to the...
Okay. I'm going to cancel the return to home because there's no point, because I'm right here, so I can fly it back. That's 20%. That LED at the back that I spoke of earlier is now flashing red, so it has had a status change. It's nice that it alerts again at 20, and that beeping is very annoying. So it's not as if it could ever be ignored. At least I couldn't ignore that. It's such a... Oh, this is a thing. How is it going to land? It's landing onto a bouncy surface. If I just hover it over, and if I click land and just alter its direction, there we go. Well, that works really nicely. That works really nicely. Wow, there's a lot gonna happen with this. A lot is gonna happen with this quad, I believe. But that was, let me just have a little look, because I think we were around the 20 odd minute mark is what I believe. Have I finished recording all that? Yes, all that is stopped. Okay, fine. So far, let's have a little look and see. So we've got, what have we got? It hasn't saved it yet, so it's still saving. Okay, so far though, wow, that was nice. So we were under the miles per hour, the wind miles per hour, and it was it worked really darn well, really well. I'm I'm a little bit astounded by that. because this quad is so small, so light, but yet they have fitted some really nice heavy duty, well, as heavy duty as you're going to get on a quad this size, heavy duty brushless motors, and it really works well. Mode P worked really nicely. Mode S, sport mode, was just phenomenal for something of this size. Mode C worked great. I want to take her over the trees. I'll come back at some point and do exactly that and go over the trees, but I'm not doing it on a day like today. I'm going to give it a little bit of time. The transmitter was just great. Everything about it just worked really well, as you know with any DJI quad. I'm liking it, but I want to see where they go with it. I hope they're not just going to kill it dead and that's the end of it now. I hope they do more with it. We know we got a lot of firmware updates coming over the coming months and years, but I will still save my video. But I want to see what exactly happens with it. I want to see whether or not they do unlock that camera if it has got full 4K potential. I want to see what happens with the whole quad. I want to give it a bit of time, but so far when you get it out of the box it responds well. But as for flying in wind, I'd be very careful. This flew well, but as I say, I'm about 14 to 15 mile per hour, whereas this is rated for 18, so I'm just on that cusp. I wouldn't take her any higher than this, any faster than this, nowhere near it. All right friends, let's get into the unboxing. All right then friends, let's crack on. So if you get the no fly combo, just the standard quadcopter pack, this is what you're going to have. So it's going to have a little box like this, DJI Mavic Mini, and then it is going to boast to the bottom right hand corner 249 grams. Now a couple of things about this as well. Let me just focus this in, that you have got, it's just going to run through a couple of the things. So 249 grams, 30 minutes of max flight time, 4km HD video transmission, video sensor and GPS precise hover, 3-axis gimbal with a maximum resolution of 2.7K camera, and then simplified recording and editing. That, the bottom bit, I 100% agree with that. It is really simplified. Not that it was difficult in the other app, but still, they have simplified it no end. Once you open it up, this is what you're going to get. So it's a nice presentation. I think that is a very nice presentation. I mean, I like clean things, and I like clean presentation boxes. This is one that obviously does give you that. Now, when you do get it, you are going to have a couple of little ties around the propellers. They're not going to be flopping all over the place. But obviously, I've got rid of them because I have flown this before doing the unboxing. So there's your quad. There's your transmitter. If you take your transmitter out on the right-hand side, then you have your little accessory pack here, which is a little bit of a nightmare to get out. Underneath your accessory pack, you have every manual under the sun, which is pretty impressive. But what I found about all these manuals is that not one manual can actually give you a lot of information. So the first one that you're going to have is you're going to have a pull out almost, there we go, let me just get this open. So this is your first one, right? So this is it. This is, it looks like the do's and don'ts of flying, but it's in French. So there's that one. Then you've got your Mavic Mini in the box, so basically it goes through all the cables and everything that you have in the box. Then you have your Mavic Mini disclaimer and safety guidelines in pretty much every single language you could ever imagine. And then from there then, you have this funky little card. Now I saw this and I burst out laughing. Obviously follow the yes guidelines, don't do the no's, as simple as that. But this bit here made me laugh. Now I know you can get a bell jar, pretty much like a bell jar-esque thing that you can charge your Mavic Mini in, but at the same time I just saw that and thought of a ship in the bottle and I burst out laughing. And then the bottom one here obviously is, you know, no, don't fly it in thunder and lightning, but they've got Thor's hammer. I just thought it was a really unique way of doing that, and it really did make me smile. Obviously if you need to have any information, then any more information, you can get in touch with their support there as well. So even though it has got a comical side, it has got an importance to it, that card. And then you've got your other little manual here as well in lots of different languages. I think this is, I can't really read what that says in it, but I think that is the follow-on to the safety guidelines. And then you have your quick start guide. Now this quick start guide is pretty useless, but it does give you, well, yeah, I've got to contradict myself here. It is pretty useless, but it does give you the information that you need. Why I say it's useless is because it is quite literally this little fold out bit of paper. Following the steps. So step 1, get the app, then charge your transmitter, charge your quad, then put the battery in, put your SD card in, unfold the quad, and then turn on your transmitter. Or first of all, put your analog sticks on the transmitter, then turn it on, then ensure you're connected, then open up the app, and then get ready to fly. It's as easy as that, but it's, every other drone I've had, every like DJI quad I've had, has had a bit more information. Not that you need a lot, but still, expect a little bit more than just the quick start guide is what I do. But still, it's not a difficult thing to get up and fly, but it is just a bit of an annoyance, just having that one little pull out. Now, inside the accessories here, you get quite a few. So you get spare propellers. You get your cables. Now your cables, you get your standard lightning connector for your iPhone. Oop. Fingers and thumbs everywhere here. Standard lightning connector, USB-C and micro USB inside there. You also have a little screwdriver there should you need it. As well as you have, as I said, your spare propellers. And then you have your USB cable for charging. That's everything inside there. You also get some spare analog stick nubbins as well, which is pretty useful because I'm forever losing my other ones, and I've bought a load of replacement ones. Then inside your bag you get your DJI transmitter, so a very standard transmitter. You will notice, well, at least it looks to me, since my other DJI transmitters, this does look a little bit different, a couple of little cosmetic differences. Once you get the little analog sticks from underneath there, then you can just standard push them in and then twist, and then as you twist, then they just fit in, as simple as that. And if you are going to be transporting this, then I recommend you do exactly what you saw me do there. If you pull these out, you've got a place here in which you fit in the left, and then the same in the right hand side there. It just stops them from putting too much strain on the analog sticks and snapping them. As for the transmitter, standard DJI, you've got your battery status lights at the top here, return to home, on and off button. You also have take photo up on the right, and then you have take video on the left, as well as you have your gimbal mover, gimbal rocker. I would want that to be a little bit tighter. It's very, very loose, very, and I don't like that. I like to have a bit of resistance in my rockers. I find that too loose, but still it works well. And then you have your antenna, which are real antenna, as it is DJI. You can see the cable up underneath there, so I'm not going to be snapping those off, not like in other vids. So there we go. So that is your DJI transmitter. On the back there as well is just standard DJI information. One thing to note, the micro USB port here is a micro USB port. It is just rectangular in shape. If you are to fit another, see it has got a picture of a micro USB cable next to it. If you are going to fit a micro USB in there, just make sure the port lines up with the socket, and you won't have any issue whatsoever in plugging that in. And then likewise your antenna does sort of clip in there, so it goes in a little bit nice. So that is your transmitter. Very simple, but does look very nice, and I do like the rubberized parts here, the two little grips when these are going to be folded down. It is a nice little thing to hold this. I like it a lot. Right, okay, there's your transmitter, and then we have the all-important quadcopter. So this is it. Look at that. I really like it. Let me just focus this in a bit better. That's a bit better. So here we go. So let's start off on the front. Nice to have a little camera cover. Now, I'm not going to delve too much in this. I said a little bit in the flight video, I hate the Osmo Pocket, with good reason. I'm hoping this is not the Osmo Pocket camera, but it does look reminiscent of it. Probably is, but at the same time, I find this camera on this quad performs really well. It looked nice in the video. I did notice, and I did put a little bit of information up in the video, up in the flight test, just to say that I think as this was turning corners, the video seemed to judder a little bit. So I'm going to try in different other frames a second and see exactly what we get from there. But still, the camera itself performs well, and the 3-axis gimbal as well performs well. I got no complaints there for the time being. We'll see what happens when there's more firmware updates coming out in a little while. Now, if I just focus this again. Sorry that it keeps on losing focus, folks. There we go. So these little bits here, they're fake. They're just to make it look nice. There's no object avoidance inside there. As for the top of the quad, standard quadcopter, standard DJI Mavic quadcopter. Looks very, very nice, especially with the DJI insignia at the back. Looks nice as well. As I mentioned in the flight test, when you pull these propeller arms out, they snap in really nicely. You're not going to be concerned about these ever coming undone. Looks really nice. feels really nice. It's got a really nice motion to them. I think that is very, very nice indeed, as if you couldn't tell. And then on the left hand side here, it just shows you exactly how to do it. I'll be taking these stickers off now in a short while. At the back we have your micro USB for charging, as well as we have your little micro SD card. As I said this morning, this is my Samsung Class 10 U3 that I was using. I've got no complaints there whatsoever for write back speed. All the video I looked at from today's and other flights have come in quite well, so that's fine. Here's your battery at the back, nice little latch at the back there. Push it up, and if you get it the right angle, it pulls out. 2200 milliamp hour, I believe this battery is, and it takes, if you're charging it via micro USB, my god, even I wouldn't advise you charge it from bus. I imagine I advise you charge it from 13 amp, because even through charging from 13 amp, you're still talking 4 hours to charge this one battery, which is a bit excessive. I have got a few accessories coming, and if you do have the combo flight pack, then you will have an alternative charger with that, so you won't have any the same issues as there. But just to note, if you do go for the cheaper version like I've done here, then you will notice that you will be spending a long time charging. So let me just fit this back in. Lovely. So that's the quad in itself. You've got the vision system on the underside here, your on and off button, your battery LED notifications here, just to let you know how fully charged your battery is. They're really bright. You can see that when the quadcopter is quite high above you. And of course you have your LED status light there as well. So it changes light. Red when the battery's low, orange when you're setting up the quad and when it's acquiring satellites, green when it's all good to go. So again, that is very bright. There's a nice little cluster inside there, 2 or 3, I think 2, I think I can see. That just performs really nicely. You can see quite far with that. So all in all, that's exactly what you get. It's really small. It is under, there we go, fits in the palm of your hand. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn on my scale just to satisfy myself that it is under 250 grams. So obviously the battery's in there, the SD card is in there, so I'm just going to pop that on there. And in fact, with the SD card, oh hang on, this isn't the true flying weight, is it? Because I've got all that in it. There we are, it comes in at 248. If I just move this, I don't know how well you can see that, 248 grams there. And that is its flying weight with its battery. Only thing I've done there is I have taken off the camera protector, because even with the camera protector it's 253 grams, so it's slightly over. But then again, you wouldn't be wanting to fly with that protector on there. But once again, just to show, it is with the battery. So 248 grams it comes in as, and to be fair, you're not going to have to register it yet, but as soon as the camera laws come in, you will have to register your quad there. But that's it. So all in all, I think it's really nice. I can't wait to test this more. I'm really taken with this, to be fair. I hope they do a lot more with it, because if they don't, I think they're going to spoil it. I think they need to do a lot more with this, and I'm hoping in the coming months and years they are going to keep on pushing firmware out there, which is ultimately going to make this better and better, and hopefully unlocking more features. Alright then, my friends, well, thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and ring that bell too. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.